Hello, everyone. I am Peter Jewett. I'm the founder and CEO here at Accessible Web. And today, a pretty popular topic it looks like, but we are going to be going over an overview of WCAG 3.0. So this is a pretty frequent question that we get from customers. What's the deal with 3.0? When's it coming out? And especially on the heels of these recent compliance deadlines and upcoming compliance deadlines, we wanted to provide kind of a primer on this. And just want to really preface this with a lot of this is still up in the air, but put together this presentation to hopefully get everyone caught up on where things are at. So let's start with what is WCAG? WCAG was developed by the W3C's Web Accessibility Initiative to create consistent global benchmark for digital accessibility. The goal is to ensure digital content works for everyone, regardless of ability. And what we found is many people associate accessibility with screen readers or blindness, but WCAG is much broader than that. It supports a universal design approach, meaning it's built to benefit people with a wide range of disabilities and abilities, including visual, auditory, motor, cognitive, learning, and neurological disabilities. So the guidelines of WCAG are built around 4 key principles. You can remember these with the acronym POUR, P-O-U-R. So perceivable means that users must be able to see or hear or sense the content. Operable means that users must be able to navigate and interact with the interface. Understandable means content must be clear and predictable, and robust means that content must work with current and future technologies, including assistive technologies. So the idea here is to make the web more usable for everyone, not just people with disabilities. So features like captions, consistent navigation, good contrast benefit a wide range of users, including those using mobile devices, older adults, people in temporary situations like a noisy or low light environment. So next is a history of WCAG versions. So WCAG has evolved over the last 25 years. Version 1.0 was the starting point. It came out in 1999. It was tightly tied to specific technologies. And then with WCAG 2.0, that came out in 2008, W3C moved to a more abstract model. This is where the POUR principles and success criteria concepts came into play. And the goal there was trying to make this apply to any platform or technology. WCAG 2.1 and 2.2 built on that foundation, adding important coverage for mobile devices, low vision users, people with cognitive and learning disabilities. And these 2.1, 2.2 updates were incremental, but again, were essential as these technologies were changing. Now we're looking at 3.0, and it's currently being developed as a major overhaul. It's not just an update, it's a whole new model aiming to improve how accessibility is measured and maintained over time. So this is going to focus more on real world user outcomes, holistic experiences, and inclusive design, rather than just technical checkpoints. So there's 3 current levels of WCAG. Level A is the absolute minimum. Content's accessible to some users, but still excludes many people. For example, if you don't support keyboard navigation, you're not even level A compliant. Level AA is the most commonly required standard. This is often used in legal, regulatory, procurement settings. This is the most, this is what we're often auditing towards and helping our clients achieve. The goal here is it strikes a balance between broad accessibility and feasibility. So meeting level AA ensures content is usable by a large majority of people with disabilities, and most accessibility compliance laws, including the ADA, Section 508, AODA, EN 301549 in Europe, they require conformance at this level. And then level AAA goes even further. It's ideal for highly inclusive environments like government health portals or education platforms. serving users with significant or multiple disabilities. It's often not able or not possible for clients to meet AAA criteria for all content, and this is why it's rarely mandated. So we're all caught up now. Now let's talk about WCAG 3.0. So why 3.0? What's the deal here? So WCAG 2.x has been essential in setting accessibility standards, but it wasn't built for today's digital complexity. Just like you saw the different 2.0, 2.1, 2.2 versions. As web and app experiences have become more dynamic and diverse, some gaps have become really apparent. One key issue is the binary pass-fail structure that treats every violation the same. So whether it's a minor color contrast issue or complete lack of keyboard access, you're either passing or you're failing, and that's not always reflective of the real user impact of these issues. Also, it's really technical, which makes it harder for designers and content creators to engage with. It doesn't provide strong guidance for experience. It goes beyond traditional web pages like apps or design systems or immersive technology. So WCAG 3.0 is meant to modernize the framework. It focuses more on outcomes, provides gradations of performance instead of binary results, and aims to bridge the gap between compliance and actual usability. So with 3.0, there's a new structure. It's structured very differently from the 2X model. Instead of success criteria tied to specific checkpoints, it introduces a layered model made up of guidelines, which set the big picture goal. For example, make text readable or ensure users can complete tasks. And then outcomes, which describe specific testable user needs. These are the closest equivalent to 2.x's success criteria, but they're more focused on actual user experience. And then methods. So these offer flexible implementation techniques and can vary based on technology platform or design system. And another major addition is critical errors. So these are issues that cause a task or page to be completely unusable for a group of users, and they're weighted more heavily in the scoring model. So the goal is to make the standard more user-centered, adaptable, future-friendly, not just a checklist for websites. The scoring system in WCAG 3.0. So this is one of the biggest changes. Rather than having a yes or no binary judgment, each outcome is scored on a scale of 0 to 4, allowing more nuance and context. So for example, if a site's color contrast is mostly good but fails in a few areas, it might get a 3 instead of a 0. This acknowledges the effort and partial accessibility while still highlighting that there's room for improvement. We have critical errors, like content that's completely inaccessible to screen reader users. This can drastically lower the score or disqualify a site from meeting conformance. And the scores can be averaged across all tested outcomes, which means organizations can track accessibility as a progressive journey rather than an all or nothing compliance threshold. So this system's especially helpful for large, complex platforms or ongoing accessibility programs, like folks that are using RAMP, because like we always preach here, this is about continuous improvement, about making progress. This isn't about achieving a milestone and saying, yep, we've checked the box for accessibility, we're done. The WCAG 3.0 conformance model, so there's a new conformance model proposed with 3 levels: bronze, silver, and gold. And these levels are designed to reflect a more realistic and scalable view of accessibility. Organizations will receive scores on how they meet the threshold or how they meet the outcomes for each guideline. These scores are averaged, and if a certain threshold is reached, they can claim conformance at the appropriate level. So bronze is roughly comparable to WCAG 2.1 AA, intended as the baseline for accessibility. Silver represents more comprehensive coverage and attention to usability. And then gold is for organizations that demonstrate mature accessibility program and commitment to inclusive design in every aspect. So the caveat here is if any critical errors are found, issues that prevent a user from completing a task or accessing core content, they can negate conformance altogether, regardless of the average score. All right, so timeline and impact on compliance efforts. So as of now, WCAG 3.0 is still a draft. The W3C has not announced a formal release timeline. It will go through multiple iterations, public feedback rounds, and implementation testing before it's finalized. We're likely looking at a few to several years before it becomes an official recommendation. In the meantime, WCAG 2.2 is the active standard, and most laws, contracts, and accessibility policies require conformance at 2.1 or 2.2 AA. So kind of the message here is keep pushing forward, keep focusing on 2.1, 2.2 for your compliance efforts. One important note here is that WCAG 3.0 is not going to be backward compatible with 2.x. So that means most organizations won't be able to upgrade or any organizations won't be able to upgrade their conformance directly. They'll need to reevaluate against the new structure and scoring model. But that being said, the principles of WCAG 3.0, like outcome-focused testing, graded scoring, and inclusive design, these can already start informing your accessibility program. So if you're using tools and have partners like Accessible Web, we can start working with you on long-term accessibility maturity. And it's always just a great time to start shifting left, start looking forward, and thinking about building with WCAG 3.0 in mind as it continues to evolve. So I've got some resources here. If you're looking to dive deeper into this, the W3C pages are the best places to start. So I've got some links here to the W3C, WCAG 3.0 overview, the latest working draft, and then the WAI guide for getting involved if you really want to get into this. And don't typically shout out competitors, but we do have a lot of respect for a certain subset of our competitors in this space. But TPGI, DeQ, WebAIM, Level Access, these organizations have really helped invent web accessibility, have contributed a ton to the current standards and continue to contribute to 3.0. So along with Accessible Web's resources, we'd recommend checking out resources from these reputable competitors. So Accessible Web is here to help. So WCAG reminds us that accessibility isn't a box you check once. It's a long-term commitment to improving your user experience for everyone. So we have RAMP subscriptions, basically a program that does exactly that. It gives your team tools, support to make accessibility part of your processes, not just a reaction to legal pressures or audits. With RAMP, we can help you to shift left, meaning we help you catch and fix accessibility issues early when it's easier and more cost-effective to address them. I can't emphasize this enough. Like, do it early, do it from design to components to building with accessibility in mind, writing code with accessibility in mind. And the best place you can save resources in this is over time. With engineering, like engineering costs add up if you're going back and rebuilding stuff. And so as WCAG evolves, RAMP evolves with it. So we're dedicated to keeping up to date with this. We'll keep your team aligned with the latest standards and best practices and help you build a future-ready accessibility program that most importantly is focused around your users. All right, discussion time.